Hey guys, Nicole here, aka Mrs. True Crime, and welcome to Two Concepts and a Cup of Coffee, the afterthought show where me and a guest co-host discuss one or two of the true crime cases I've gone over this season. Today we'll be discussing a few of the cases I've gone over in season 1, from Anatoly Moskvin to the Godard family. If you haven't watched any of these episodes, click the link card up top of this video or the link in the description, then come back here for our discussion. And if you're new to the channel and like what you hear or see, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, comment, and or subscribe. Alright, let's get started. Welcome to Mrs. True Crime. There's also a trail of blood. So, welcome.
Yes.
Both Brittany's.
Thank you for having me today.
1.0 and 2.0.
Yes.
Hello.
I don't really know how to address, like, when I'm trying to talk to one of you, so I'm just going to say Brittany, and whoever answers, that's how this works.
We can call me Brit if that's easier.
Brit?
Brit?
You're Brit? Do
I'll be
you want
Brit.
to be the... No, never mind.
I don't know where that was going.
I was trying to go to the end of the word Brittany, so you're Brit, she's Tinny.
Tinny.
Oh, God.
I thought you were going to be with Any. So I'll be Brit, she'll be Any.
You want to do that? You're Annie, she's Brit? That's how that works?
Or you can call me Jean.
No.
I'm cool with that.
We're not doing
no,
that.
we can't do
We're
that.
not doing
How about
that.
Jeanette then?
Sure,
Jeanette?
I'll be any.
Any?
Any?
So Brit and Any?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that works.
I'm cool with that.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I need to introduce you to the world.
Aside from introducing to each other, which we exchanged pleasantries in the beginning.
That's true.
Because this is the first time I'm meeting Any. Hello,
Yes.
Any.
Hello, Brent.
Oh, thank you. Your voice sounds very lovely.
Oh, thank you.
You're so welcome.
She likes that. She likes when people talk about her voice.
I'm so glad. It's a very calming
Same
and
thing.
welcoming voice. I like it.
I like it too.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But this is like an update before we get into everything. I just wanted to update my channel a bit.
Okay.
So, for starters,
Got it.
I did Tuesday and Friday videos starting out.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible decisions.
Okay.
That was the worst decision ever.
Okay.
I did not take into consideration the research, the writing,
Yep.
the editing, the recording. I was like, what? It's I could do this. I already had 2 episodes like ready to
Mhm.
go. I can do this. I can do. No.
No.
Let's not aim
Your
high.
intentions
Okay.
were good.
Huh?
Your intentions were good, though.
It was.
Mhm.
I decided I'm not going to aim high. I'm going to aim like in the middle.
And equally, your videos have been good. That's one thing that I can say. It's not, your quality of work has not suffered with the double videoing. So, while you're updating, just know that you're still doing great.
I mean, thank you.
You're so
That's sweet.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, instead of Tuesdays and Fridays, I was thinking just Wednesdays.
Okay.
One day a week, splat in the middle.
Yeah, perfection.
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot better and easier for, me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Is that
Sure.
the only update I had? It's just that I'm changing the day.
And then it's going to one video a week.
Yes. And season 2, I decided, since it's going to be on Wednesday, we'll come back August 1st.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, August 1st.
Excitement.
Huzzah!
Yeah.
So mark that down in your Google calendars, y'all.
August 1st.
August 1st.
Yes. And it hasn't gone up at the time of this recording, but it'll go up eventually, let me tell you what. But the season final should go up, and that video was suggested to me by, I believe it's Andrea Tuchel. I think that's how you pronounce your name. That was the first ever suggestion I ever got. I love more suggestions because I run out of stuff. Anybody have suggestions or anything?
For season 2.
Yes, for season 2.
Okay.
I am all ears.
Awesome. Anything regarding death, I try to send to you on a regular basis.
It doesn't have to be death. It could be missing people. cold cases.
Those are my favorites.
Are they?
You know how I love a good mystery. So whenever there's one, yeah, like the Godard case, it's so much fun to try and figure out what is going on, or like the one that you and I did where it was like the cold cases in North Carolina, like the missing people and never been found. That was so much fun to do. I love it because I like trying to dissect it and figure out what's going on.
So more unsolved cases, please.
Yes, please.
According to Britt.
Yes.
More unsolved cases. I actually like older cases.
Yeah.
Like the 1800 cases.
Oh yeah, ones that are
like
nowhere
those.
near me. I love those.
Those are my favorite, and most of the ones that are like older are not even, North American.
Yes.
So I think most of them were French and Australian, I think. So that was fun for me.
Yeah.
That was fun. I like those. I'm all for any modern suggestions, but if you have any old suggestions, I love them. Give them to me.
Down to clown.
Forever. I have updates about the cases that I've done this season.
Okay.
I have like compact information about the cases, but if you want a more in-depth look, check them out. I put them in the description below and such and such. So the first one is Anatoly Moskvin. He was episode 2, called House of Dolls. He was the Russian historian. Anatoly Moskvin was assigned to summarize and list the dead of 700 plus cemeteries. He personally examined 752 cemeteries and reprinted 900 epitaphs in a span of 3 years. In his travels, he saw a lot of graves of children, specifically young girls. Anatoly wanted to adopt a daughter, but was often rejected due to low income. He wanted to feel closer to the young girls, so he would sleep on top of their graves, but the ground became hard, so he dug them up and mummified them, taking them home.
Oh my God.
In total, he had 29 dolls in his home. He was arrested and diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and couldn't stand trial. He has been in a psychiatric hospital ever since. His update is he's going to marry a 25-year-old university grad who attended all of his court hearings. She allegedly persuaded anyone who asked about her that she was Moskvin's daughter, and now she is to marry him. His parents continuously add money into his mobile account so that he can talk on the phone to her. This information is as of 2016. I don't know if they're currently married, but he is an extended stay at the psychiatric hospital.
Wow.
Thoughts, questions, suggestions?
I mean, she needs to be there too. Oh my God, what is wrong with
She should be
her?
committed.
Right?
Is there a name for, I mean, he's not a serial killer, but isn't there a name for people, or more specifically women, who like obsess over serial killers and they like want to marry them? Is there a name for it?
Yes. Let me Google because I know.
Sorry.
Um,
There is a term for that.
give me strength.
I think it's hybristophile.
Yes, or hybristophilia.
Look at your smarties. Look at this. The perfect brain smashed together. Look at this.
Oh, told you, 2 Britneys are better than 1. Yeah, that's the name of it. Hybristophile or
It's a
hybristophilia.
paraphilia.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's a sexual arousal situation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're sexually aroused by serial killers.
I mean, wouldn't you have to be in order to want to marry someone like that?
Yeah.
Because how could you find love for that person? There's no way.
I mean, Anatoly didn't kill anyone, but still, he
slept on kids' graves.
I wasn't saying what he did was better. I'm just saying he didn't kill anyone. The young ladies were unfortunately, already dead. I'm going to say unfortunately.
Well, not necessarily. Like, how old were these kids?
They were children.
Really?
They were children.
And what time frame was this?
Oh,
Please don't say 2000s.
okay.
Please say the early 20s.
When I said the episode was called House of Dolls?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2.
So he was on this mission in 2005.
Oh my God.
And he started, not that one. And he started doing this, it doesn't state when he started doing this. I don't state it. But Well, if one of the bodies was buried in 2002 and he unearthed her body in 2003, so I guess you can say that as soon as he got his assignment, he probably started doing that around 2005,
That's
2006.
disgusting.
And he was arrested in 2011. So it started if he got his assignment in 2005, but if one of the bodies was buried in 2002 but unearthed in 2003, so I guess you can say he was doing this since 2003.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That's over a decade.
I was 13.
That makes it way worse.
Doesn't it? Again, no one has love for him. It's definitely a sexual arousal thing. It's gotta be.
Wow. So the next update.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's an update. I think it's more of a detailed. I kind of miss in the situation, but it's the Wanda Beach murders, which is episodes 3 and 4.
I liked those.
Into the Sand. Looking back, it didn't have to be 2-parters, but I was just starting out, so what do you expect?
Mm.
But I tried to condense it as much as I could. Marianne Schmidt and Christine Sherrick were best friends and neighbors in West Ryde, Australia. They loved going to Cronulla Beach, about 2 hours away. On January 11th, 1965, the girls and Marianne's 4 youngest siblings head to the beach. They hang for a while, and then Marianne suggests going to Wanda Beach, about 20 minutes from their location. The kids get halfway and start complaining, so Marianne and Christine leave some items behind for the kids to play with and take shelter and say they'll be back, and that's the last they're seen alive. The youngest kids get home late and report the girls missing at 8:30. The next day, they are found by Peter Smith, who assumed they were mannequins. They were partially clothed with sand piled on top of them. They were stabbed repeatedly, with Marianne getting the most wounds. They both had scratch marks on their faces. Police assumed Marianne was killed first and suffered a cut throat. Christine had a skull fracture. The attackers attempted to sexually assault the girls, ripping off Christine's shorts and underwear and cutting Marianne's bathing suit at the bottom and pulling it to her chest. Hymens were still intact. I'll get back to that.
Oh, that's where your rant's gonna come in.
The killers had never been found. So just a small aside about hymens. Just a small aside. Just teeny tiny one. Just small. So in a lot of the articles I read, and even in my script and video, I say that their hymens were still intact. Fun facts, in my humblest of opinions, that means nothing.
It doesn't.
It means absolutely nothing. So, Adam Ruins Everything. Great show. Highly recommend. It's Adam Ruins Sex.
Yeah.
And in it, they talk about how hymens, they compare it to like a balloon arch around the vagina. I really hate that word, but here I have to be scientific.
We're here. We're talking about it. It's fine.
And basically, yeah, it could quote unquote break from sex, but not necessarily. It can quote unquote break from like anything.
Right.
Insert a tampon wrong. If you do like sports, so like any kind of rough sports or even horseback riding or just, I don't know, anything really, it can break. So the hymen being still intact for Marianne and Christine, it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It could...
they still could have been sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
But no.
And they found, I don't know if it was on the leg or underwear of one of the girls, but they did find semen, even though the sample was lost in 2014, but whatever. They did find semen, so it's not like they weren't sexually assaulted. They could have been, but the hymens being attacked doesn't mean anything.
It's likely that they were sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very likely that happened.
I think so, too. I think in most of the articles, they put the hymen was still intact to, like, kind of make it seem like they were sexually assaulted, but it wasn't that bad. I think that's what it was. Yeah. That's what I personally think it was.
Probably.
But, I mean, anyone getting stabbed that many times and then a sexual assault afterwards, it's... Even if your hymen is still intact, no, that doesn't change anything.
Afterwards?
I think it was afterwards. I feel like it was afterwards. I feel like...
So then we had necrophilia coming in on this, too.
I feel like, because I'm trying to... Because the way the detective said it they're describing it, it was like Marianne ran away. Marianne was killed, and then Christine tried to run away, so they were clearly attacked, like, from behind, kind of, sort of. So I feel like it had to be an afterward situation. After they were already on the ground, I feel like.
On the ground, maybe, but...
Not after they were dead?
Yeah, because it would just be... Logistically speaking, there would have to be clothes somewhere, or some way of, like, because they stabbed them so many times. Mm-hmm. The blood would have gotten on them some way. Like, didn't they have an idea of who they thought it was? And then they were like, oh no, not these guys. Because, like, there was a part with, like, the younger siblings where they were like, we saw them walking off with these boys. And blah, blah, blah.
Only one of them actually saw this boy walk off with them. Which I'm getting to, actually. So the update, the detail I kind of missed was that one of the guys that they thought was Derek Percy. So I say Derek Percy, briefly mentioned in the video, but in a 2017 article, it states police found a secret stash of clippings and writings in a storage unit that linked him to the crime. The Percy family holidays often coincided with yachting regattas. Mm-hmm. And in January 1965, a national race was due to sail in Sydney. Friends and the Percys remember they had gone to Sydney for a summer holiday, staying with Derek's grandparents at Ryde Station. A witness, along with one of Marianne's siblings, saw the two girls talking to a boy that matched Percy's description. At the beach, Marianne's brother, Peter, 10, said later he saw the girls walking and talking with a long-haired blonde youth. The youth had a knife in a sheath and carried a spear. At that time, Derek Percy was known to carry a knife in a scabbard. Scabbard, thank you. Mm-hmm. No evidence that the boy on the train and the boy Peter saw were the same boy. The same boy why did I write that? Went to sand dunes with the girls and returned alone. Marianne's brothers provided a description, and a police artist drew up a portrait of a man with a long, narrow face. The following year, at Percy's new school, Caryong High in Conchaban? Conchaban. Fellow students who had seen a police sketch of the youth sought over the murders, teased him about being the killer. In notes found in Percy's car 4 years later, police found a story written by Percy which bore a striking similarity to the Wanda Beach murders. In his belongings in the tea chest, they also found a map marked at Ryde near the spot where the Wanda Beach victims caught the train.
Interesting.
He's dead now. He died in 2013 of cancer, and he refused to tell detectives anything if he killed anyone.
Why? I guess because his memory would last on that way, but...
maybe. I was listening to Wine and Crime podcast. I love those girls so much. And they had a bestseller on, I can't remember his name, but he is the host of a show called Dangerous Minds. And he talked about how some killers refuse to tell anyone if they over-exaggerate or under-exaggerate their killings because they feel like they have control now. If they keep one kill, even if it's just one, they have control over it. Like, this is the person, you'll never find them. So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's what he did.
Maybe.
The next one it has to do with a child, just so you're aware.
Okay.
So this one was Adrian Jones. This was episode 10, Mother/Father May I. It was a shared episode with Brian Edgar. I tried to make this as compact as possible. Michael Jones obtained custody of his son after his ex-wife lost custody because of lack of supervision. In 2012, Michael registered their home as a private school in Missouri. In 2013, 2 tips were sent to social services. 1, Adrian was being abused and the house wasn't up to code. And 2, Heather Jones, Michael's new wife, beat her children and sold meth. Adrian told social services that Heather pulled his ears, that his dad kicked him so hard in the head a bone came out, and that the two didn't feed him and placed him in his room alone. Heather defended her actions, saying Adrian had mental health issues. Soon, Michael and Heather stopped cooperating and moved to Kansas. They got a new home, and starting around May 2015, they upped their abuse. They fed him only oatmeal, They began to strap Adrian to an inversion table where his legs would swell from the pressure. He would be forced to strip naked and stay in stagnant water up to his neck overnight. His hands were handcuffed behind his back, and he was left in the dark and cold outside to fend for himself. Boards were strapped to his chest so he wouldn't bend over. His lips were swollen and bleeding from trying to gnaw in his plywood shower prison, and he was hit across the face with a broomstick. Heather would taser him for 15 to 20 seconds at a time. Heather also filmed and took photos of the torture. Sometime around October 2015, Adrian died in his makeshift prison, and Michael bought feeder pigs and fed his son's corpse to them. Thanksgiving 2015, Heather called the police that Michael shot a gun at her. When police arrived, she told them to look in the barn for Adrian's remains. Both received life in prison. So the update on that is that...
they dead? Good. Somebody set them on fire. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Unfortunately, no, they're still alive. They're both still in prison. I couldn't... At the end of that video, I stated that Michael wanted a new trial. I don't know if he ever got it. So... that's still up in the air. But what I found was that they gave unanimous approval to legislation involving the release of police body cam video and information about the deaths of children who are in state care. The bill also requires agencies to notify people if their personal information is shared and to provide a free year of credit monitoring. Changes to the code for children in need of care will require the Kansas Department for Children and Families to release within 7 days information about the abuse and neglect of a child who has died. That information includes a summary of previous reports of abuse or neglect for the child, as well as any DCF recommendations. So they have a bill now that's like, if a child died and there was something that could have been done, we need that information. That's the new bill, pretty much. I wish it was better. I wish it was a better bill than that. But Adrian's grandmother has been fighting tooth and nail for any type of bill, so she's happy about that.
So the grandmother was around?
No, she was not. So Michael had Adrian and I think 2 or 4 other children, but they were all girls. And like 2012, 14, one of these numbers here, he separated Adrian from his grandmother. So it was like a year or 2 that went by that she never saw him. So she didn't know what was going on.
What happened to the other kids?
He took care of them. Adrian was the only one he abused.
What kind of bullshit?
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't understand.
And the girls, like, how old were they? Were they older or younger?
Younger.
And how old was he?
He was 7, I think. I have to go back to that.
That story is the type of story that just, like, it just pisses me off. It makes me so angry.
The story of Brian Edgar isn't any better. That would piss you off, too. I don't have any update on him. Brian Edgar, the one he shared the story with, the episode with. I don't have an update on Brian. Everyone involved, they're still in jail. But, okay, so if they were alive now, like in 2018, currently at this moment, Brian Edgar would be 24 and Adrian would be 9.
And this happened in 2013? What year did he die?
Adrian died in 2015, so he was 7.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel like in cases like that, whatever happened to the kid should be the punishment for the parent. Don't go to prison. Stick them in water. Let them gnaw on bars and get beaten with broomsticks and get tasered for 20 seconds.
I love it.
Right? They need... It's just...
I tried not
do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Well, you know what? If you would do that to somebody, then you deserve to have that be done to you.
I'm not saying you're not right. I'm not saying you're
Of course
not
I'm right.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. The great thing about it is, even though I don't want to hear about it, it still happened.
Yeah.
And awareness needs to be made.
Yeah.
Like, this kid only lived to 7 years old. He deserves his story to be told.
Yeah.
Let me see. How old was Brian? Because
you said that he would have been 24 today.
Right. But he died, but Brian died in 2002.
He was
8. 8 and 7 is when they died.
Golly.
Wow.
Do you want to know how Brian died, or is it too much?
I mean, we're already down the rabbit hole.
I don't have an update on him. This is just another thing about the episode. So Brian, since I'm already on this, so his parents were okay. Since we're on this topic, I want to talk about it too. Why is it that people use religion to, like, do terrible things?
I don't know. Because it's... Go ahead, Annie.
What?
I think part of it could be like you could get off on an insanity defense. Like there's some defense you could get off of with that. I'm not quite sure what it is though.
Maybe, yeah, that's always a possibility. I don't understand it really, as you well know. Nobody else probably does. I'm a churchgoer. It's something that is very integral in my life. And when people claim religion as stuff, I don't know what religion they're claiming, because that's not in my book that I read anywhere.
Faithfully.
So it just makes no sense to me that's what they claim. That they say, oh, God told me to do this. Bullshenanigans. God didn't tell you to do nothing but love your child. So it just makes no sense to me that they can claim religion on stuff like this. It's honestly just a defense mechanism that they already had this desire within them. This just gives them an excuse to do it. Even though
that makes more sense to me.
Even though there's no Bible or whatever religion they are to back it up.
So, as always, technical difficulties, but it's cool. That's what editing is for. Okay, so I was in the midst of telling you both about how Brian Edgar died. That's what we were talking about.
Oh, yeah. We got happy again.
Oh, yeah. This is from the script, so I'm trying to just, like, skim it and go from there. So, Brian was adopted, as I mentioned before. He was adopted by Christy and Neil Edgar. So, Christy was very, like, you can say she's religious. In my humblest of opinions, she was more like, how can this religion benefit me? Because she believed that God spoke to her and told her what to do and how to take care of kids and all that great stuff. So she was very strict on how she would punish her children. So on, like, 4 days after Christmas in 2002, she and Chastity Boyd, who was babysitting, was like, Brian took a cookie without permission. He must be punished. So they wrapped him in duct tape, covering his entire head, leaving only enough space that he could breathe through his nose. His mouth was then stuffed with a sock that Neil would later say he put tape across to keep Brian quiet. He was then placed in a cellar overnight, and when they went to check on him the next morning, he was unresponsive.
Because he took a cookie?
Yep. They were punished for taking cookies, for taking water without permission. They were punished for literally anything. And he wasn't the only one in her care. There were like 2 or 3 others that were in her care. They are not deceased, but they were punished in the same way that Brian was.
I hate people.
So that was that. That's Brian Edgar. He would be 24. So the next update is the Colt family. This was episode 28. I hate the title. It's called My Father, My Uncle, My Childhood. I hate that title. I couldn't think of anything else. I already used All in the Family with Marcus Weston, so here we are. So, this is as compact as I could get it, because Lord have mercy.
There was a lot to that
So, it was made up of 38 people, 25 children. Every single one of them, except one, were the products of incest. They lived on a farm at Borawa?
Sure.
Okay. In New South Wales. They lived in filthy conditions with dirty beds, broken windows, and rotten food. They barely went to school unless child services stepped in. It's actually how they got caught. A child was on the playground, overheard saying, "My sister is pregnant, and we don't know which one of my brothers is the father."
Ew.
Authorities were called, and a search took place, removing 12 of the children. The matriarch, aka ringleader Betty, was arrested in April 2018, so last month, along with 7 others. They were charged with incest, child sex abuse, aggravated assault, sexual intercourse with a child under 10, sexual intercourse with a child aged between 10 to 14, and perjury. Their court date is June 2018. So, there's a lot more detail than that. There's like a 30 or 38 page court document from the judge who wanted their case known, and it's very detailed about all the sexual experiences they went through.
Ew.
It was a lot. Yeah. I did not expect that, especially from the kids. Like, the kids were telling what happened, and they're like as young as 9, and I'm like, oh, you babies don't know what's happening. It was the worst. So the update was that secret online videos made by 5 of the boys, son of Betty and Martha, report alleged beatings and threats of harm while in foster care. The boys, now between 13 to 18, were taken into foster care in 2012. The boys were identified as Billy, Brian, Carl, Jed, and Dwayne. The videos were filmed around December 2016 in front of the same brick wall. It was also filmed and uploaded under their birth names and posted online by Martha. She wrote on her Facebook, "I can only hope these boys can get the help they need to put a stop abuse." Beside her son Carl, she wrote, "It is sad to hear how this young boy gets a beating for having a weak bladder. Surely, I think is what she means. They realize it is the beating that is causing it." The NSW Department of Family and Community Service said in response to the allegations made by the Colt boys that it is continuing to work closely with NSW police and non-government partners in relation to his family. So I actually have the audio from those, that when the video comes up, I'll probably just have the video.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is Billy Colt.
Staff is threatened they're going to kill us. They said if we tell anyone, all the police, they're going to step us and all that. They're going to send their Bucky gang. They ran us over with the car. They're still looking for us. We took off from care, but they're after us still. They want to kill us now, or they're going to give us a hiding. They threatened they're going to squash my head under the ground. They threw me for the wall. I don't like it. They threatened they're going to kill my family, my brothers and that. I had to take them from care and run bush. Now we live in that bush, safe. They're scared. They're after us. We don't know what to do.
He's hard to understand. He's extremely hard to understand.
Well, they're from Wales, right?
Yes. Plus, when the authorities found the kids, they couldn't really speak. But from what I got from that was that he's living in a bush. That's what I got from that.
And he's one of the victims of all of this?
Mm-hmm. And then this one is Brian.
We always get threatened that we're going to get beaten up, threatened to get killed. They always threaten about our family. They don't always get much food. They always beat up on their little brothers. Always swearing constantly. They always threaten that they're going to stab us, they're going to get a knife to kill us. They tell them about our story, what happens in care. They want to kill us and all that.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. Maybe I'm just not following correctly. So
Okay.
the boys, like, were they forced to have children with the sisters, or?
No.
So they just
From
did?
my understanding, they weren't forced. I feel like it wasn't even a feel. It's not a feeling. It's a taught behavior. That's because the girls in the document talked about how the boys, like, tied them to trees and had sex with them and all this, that, and the third. So I think it's a taught behavior that they witnessed it and was taught that this is how this works in this family, and that's what happened.
So, but the boys are all arrested and stuff for, like, rape and stuff like that, right?
They are not. These boys were put in foster care.
Okay.
7 were arrested, well, plus Betty. So 8 were arrested, but they were all adults. So they were all over the age of 18.
And they were having kids with the younger kids.
They were having kids with each other, plus their own father.
Golly.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to, it was a web.
Yeah.
And apparently this is like a, oh, that's a car. Apparently it's like a, what's the word? It was a big deal. Like, I didn't know the Colt family existed until I started Googling random stuff. But apparently it's a big deal. And I was like, oh, this made headlines? What's happening?
Yeah.
So, so their court date is next month.
Wow. So you'll have an update on that probably.
Yeah, I'm very interested into this story. I don't, it's beyond weird. But yeah.
I like your title. Now that I know what the story's about.
My father, my uncle, my childhood.
Yeah, I like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I hated it. I was like, this is why.
I remember you talking about how much you hated it, but like it makes so much sense.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
And now, for the moment we've been waiting for everyone's homework assignments.
The part that I actually did my homework assignment on. I'm so proud of myself.
The Godard family.
Yes.
I learned recently that his name is not Yevis, it's pronounced Eve.
By that lovely Canadian lady on your comments.
I love her. She's great.
Gentleman?
I
Canadian person?
Yes. I love them, though. I appreciate all critiques that are positive, not positive, but like, what's the word I want? Nice?
Yeah. Constructive.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. Thank you very much. Yes, constructive. I appreciate all of those. So the name is pronounced Eve. So, let's dive in, shall we?
We shall.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
So, I actually do have an update about this one, too.
Okay.
Fun facts. So, there actually was a small skull found the beginning of this year, January 2018, on the beach of Brittany. No word on if it's the sons or not, and there haven't been any child disappearances reported. They sent it off for testing. We have no idea, though, who that belongs to.
Well, it's been a hot minute, right?
It has.
Will they be able to find out?
I don't know how DNA works. I don't know how, like, DNA forensics and stuff
Especially
work.
if it was found in water, you would feel like there would be nothing DNA related anymore.
I have a lot of, I don't know if I want to call them theories, but I have a lot of questions I want to punk out for you
people.
And
I thought they already had found the boy's skull.
They have found Eve's, the doctor, and they found Camille, the daughter, but they have never found the sons, and they've never found the wife's body.
I thought they couldn't find his skull, or did they just find his body? Because when I was watching it, the fisherman picked up the 2 skulls.
Correct.
But he threw the adult one back because he panicked.
Correct.
Which is very suspect to me.
Why?
I feel like he's an accomplice in this. Exactly. Why keep the little one?
Panicked,
but why keep the little one if you panic,
That is a good question. That is a good question.
I feel like he's an accomplice.
You think so?
Yeah, he would have to be.
So do you think that means that, well, no, that he can't be, because they found his femur and his tibia that I had to look up because I didn't know what that was. My dumb self, I thought a tibia was like a fingertip. I didn't know what a tibia was.
Okay.
Apparently it's like a part of the lower half of your body.
Okay.
So it's like waist down. They found parts of his body.
Meaning that he was either eaten by fish or cut up into tiny pieces.
Yeah. In some way. So my one of my questions was, if there was an accomplice, maybe it was a patient, someone who wanted more of his illegal drugs. Thoughts?
Possibly.
I like that.
That could
make sense.
Because he didn't do illegal things, but he went about it in a legal manner.
Right.
So
He's shady.
He was very shady.
He was. And then this one, I was just rambling, and it didn't make sense until I kept typing, though.
Uh-huh.
I said, maybe Marie France put a Gone Girl. I saw this on Reddit. She saved up her own blood over some time and framed him. She really did have a relationship with her therapist, and they killed Eve. They never meant to kill their kids, even though the witness only saw Eve and the kids. Maybe they were trying to run away, and Marie and Lover caught up with him?
Maybe, but so you're saying that, like, they killed Eve after they left the house? Because the neighbor, like, had conversation with him.
Yeah. But the neighbor doesn't recall seeing Marie with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Which means that Eve was either killed and stowed away in the car prior to. Also, something that I was questioned about, which kind of goes along in this.
Okay.
It said that this would be the last time that anyone heard them fighting, or it was the last time that they saw her before the fight. But you mentioned that they had, like, a huge blowout fight.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Who told them that?
Maybe they heard it. So that's what that's okay. A lot of the articles I found were in French, so I Google Translate the best I could.
Right.
But from my understanding, they had a fight, but I'm assuming that neighbors heard the fight.
So either housing is really, really close to each other in France, or they were just fighting that loud that people heard, or there was no fight and the neighbors are in on it. Because unless it's an apartment situation, even in housing, I don't understand. Unless you got your windows open, there's no way that they would have heard. Even with how close your house is to this house, nobody's going to hear if you and one of your housemates is just going into a full-on screaming match.
Unless the windows are open.
Unless the windows are open.
That's true.
So unless the houses are attached, like a townhouse or something, how would they hear that there was a giant fight?
So, like, I actually Googled just now residences in France.
Okay.
And it is like, they're like apartment buildings.
Okay.
Those high-rise apartments.
Well, then that makes sense.
Well, then that makes...
So that's
I have a question then.
possibility.
If it's like an apartment and they heard the fight, they didn't hear her die? Like, they didn't hear any... Like, I don't know how she was killed. We don't know
if she even was killed.
Yeah, all we have is the blood splatter.
Right.
So let's say hypothetically she did die, and let's say he stabbed her.
Right.
If I'm getting stabbed, I'm screaming. Is no one hearing that?
I also want to know what's going on with the kids. That they have no visual signs of trauma or anything like that. They were at home that night. If they watched or heard their father kill their mother, the next morning when they come out, the kids are going to be acting weird.
Right.
Unless he lied. Go ahead.
This entire thing is just really weird.
It is.
Like, unless he lied and was like, Mommy fell.
But like, if they were having a screaming match of a fight.
Yeah. Because the neighbors were like, they never argued up until that point. You're going to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
If two people that I live next door, like, let's say I have really good neighbors for the most part. My biggest complaint is that they play their music too loud past 9 o'clock at night.
Yes.
And I'm an old woman, and I don't have time for that.
Uh-huh.
So, but if my neighbors were like, never, because they're really good and they're kind and everything, and I never have any issues with them. I don't necessarily talk to them, but, you know, I don't really know them that well. And they have a fight where somebody is dying and they're just like screaming at each other. I'm calling the police, like, because it's so out of character. Something is about to go down.
Right. That makes it even weirder. That they live in such close proximities. These couple never fights, and then you hear them screaming, I'm assuming.
If they said that, I believe your words were a very intense fight.
Correct.
Meaning that...
In every single report, in the few I found in English and the ones in French, continuously said they had an intense fight.
And they didn't even say what the fighting was about.
It didn't.
If you can hear an intense fight, you can most of the time hear what people are... Well, no, not necessarily.
Unless it's thin walls. In my video, I speculated that it was about her alleged affair.
Right.
I don't know if that's what they thought about. We don't know.
But I don't think it was an affair, because that is something that happens a lot to psychiatrists. It's called transference.
Okay.
When a I want to say customer, help me, patient, patient.
Yes.
I still have work on the brain. When a patient goes to a doctor, and this is like the first time that someone is paying attention to them, because you said that she went to him because she was depressed, that he was no longer paying attention to her, that he
Correct.
was so work laden.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that that now this doctor is paying attention and saying, you're worthy, you deserve to feel better, and
Mm-hmm.
to not feel pushed out. It's something that psychiatrists do all the time. And patients will start to get feelings for their psychiatrist and develop feelings for them, and just transfer their pain that they had into love for this person who's paying them attention. And it's a very, very, very common thing that happens, which makes sense. If he encouraged her to write it down in a journal,
Mm-hmm.
then that makes sense, that he never took that step. He never had an affair with her. It was that he was telling her to write down her feelings, and we'll discuss it the next time you come in, and we'll figure out what you're feeling to go to fix this and make you feel this way about yourself and not about me.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that he maybe, like I said, maybe he found, like in the video, maybe he found her diary and was like, what is this? What's happening? Explain! And he just went off. Or, because he was in debt, maybe they thought about money.
It's the number one strain on relationships.
It is. That's what makes me so angry, is that we don't know what the fight was about.
Especially when they never thought about anything. What'd
What?
you say?
Oh, I said I know.
Oh.
I want to know what it's about.
Yeah.
I just, there's just way too many questions about this case that I don't think will ever be answered.
And then another thing, my third, 1, 2, 3. I said they found morphine and whiskey in the car. The customs officer saw the children asleep or drowsy. Did Eve drug his children? And if so, why? What did drugging them do? Or was the morphine and whiskey for Marie? Maybe it was an accident, or he attacked, then regretted it and stuck her with morphine and used whiskey to stop the bleeding. But he couldn't stop it and she died, and he panicked and dumped her body, then ran away with the kids out of fear.
That's very plausible.
That's a very plausible, very, very plausible.
Because I just remember our video on our channel where you said, I've been on morphine. It's a good way to go. So I just thought maybe that's what happened.
It is a good way to go.
You know?
And two, he was also giving patients drugs illegally. That
True.
He could have just had it in his car just because.
That
he
is
just
true.
ran into the job.
That's true.
And you know the French, they like a drink. So, so they could have, whiskey could have just been in the car for no reason. They're going on a long boating expedition with kids.
That is true.
When you need a drink.
That's, yes. So, maybe it was just there to be there. Maybe it has no
Basis on the case.
Yeah.
And then again, maybe it's everything that you've said, or maybe it's something complete. Maybe he was high on morphine and he came in and just started screaming.
Maybe he got high on his own supply.
Maybe.
We don't
Maybe they had a fight because maybe let me Google this real quick.
Okay.
You guys have a discussion before I finish out this thought because I don't want to sound stupid.
Okay. Do you, okay, you know bloody things, any? Do you, whiskey is, like, you can pour whiskey on cuts, right? But, like, you can use it as, like, what's the word? Like a cleaning agent, right?
Yeah, it has alcohol. So yeah.
Okay, so maybe, so what I was thinking was he accidentally, like, stabbed her. We don't know where. Maybe, let's say a leg. Why not a leg? Let's say a leg. And maybe he, like, put her in the car and, like, poured whiskey on her scar or whatever to, like, keep it from bleeding. And because it did say that he bought cleaning supplies and he tried to clean it up. So it says that he tried to clean up, it looked like people tried to clean up the blood. Maybe he also tried to clean her up. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I mean, it makes sense. It really does.
I like in all of my versions, Eve is like the good guy.
Right.
I don't know why that's how this ended up. I'm not on his side. I don't know how that happened. But I'm just, because a lot of the articles and stuff focus on Eve. Not to say that Eve was a saint, because from what we can find, he did a lot of shady things. But what else about Marie's life? Like, we know she was depressed. We know she transferred her feelings to her therapist. But what else? Like the neighbors, once the headline read, like, doctor accused of wife's murder, the neighbors were like, oh, I can't believe it, she was such a saint. Like,
it's so annoying that people always do that too. Like, every time someone's like, oh, this person killed this person, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's that, it's just like, oh, I never would have guessed. They just seem so normal. I loved them so much. They were great people. And then you would be like, well, they did this. Well, you know what? There was that one time I saw them with that duct tape. But they always, nobody has anything bad to say about the person who killed his family.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense to me that, like, nobody has any suspicions. There's not one little old grandma that's been watching them with binoculars across the street going, I always knew it. One of these days. Who did I tell that to? I told a friend of mine. She was getting really frustrated with her kid, and she was like, I tell you, I'm going to kill him. And I said, I know you will. And one of these days, when the cops come knocking at my door and go, so-and-so killed her child, what do you have to say as her character? I knew it all the time. I knew from the beginning that she is a great woman of God. I love her so much. But I knew from the second I met her that she was going to kill that kid one of these days.
That's what's like if I ever die, because I'm immortal. I don't want anyone to sugarcoat things like, oh, she was a saint. She was great. No. If I was, like, terrible to you, it's okay. I'm dead. There's nothing I can do at this point.
Except haunt. Nobody wants that.
You want me to haunt? If I was mean to someone, I want them to be like, she wasn't the greatest person in the world, but I'm sorry she's dead. I want truth. I want that.
Okay, but, like, meanwhile, you have somebody say that, and then your petty self is just like, your petty ghost self is just like, I don't appreciate that. And next thing you know, you're tipping over chairs, you're making things float.
I'm not a petty ghost. I wouldn't be a petty ghost. Just because I'm petty in reality doesn't mean I'm going to be a petty ghost. Maybe, if I die, I'm at peace.
Maybe you're the opposite. You're the poltergeist that cares, and you want to get them to like you in death now that they hated you in life. So you just spend your whole afterlife, like, making sure they don't step in front of the car, and, like, on rainy days you, like, shield them.
Their guardian angel.
Yeah. Oh, there's a story in that. I like that.
Did you find what you were looking for?
What I was looking up what happens when you mix alcohol and morphine.
Okay.
Because I was thinking maybe the fight was because she finally got just so depressed that she drank the whiskey and the morphine.
A suicide attempt, are you thinking?
Yeah, and that's what their fight's about.
Well, they do say when you take medication, don't mix with alcohol.
So the causes of taking both of them is nausea and vomiting, changes in blood sugar leading to seizure, dehydration, changes in blood pressure, irregular heart rate, dizziness or loss of coordination, inability to concentrate, abnormal behavior, fainting or passing out, and coma.
Huh.
So that's what happens when you take both of them. And then it says the physical risks of combining alcohol and hydrocodone, oxycodone, and morphine. The most life-threatening side of mixing alcohol and hydrocodone and all that stuff or involves depressed breathing. So apparently a person is likely that their breathing and heart rate will go down, and that stops them from being able to continue on in their life.
See, that just makes me think, because the customs officer said that Eve was acting really weird, but the kids were asleep. That makes me think that he drugged his kids.
Possibly.
Because they were drowsy, according to the customs officer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were drowsy. Maybe they were slowly,
Yeah.
But then, that just begs the question, what the heck happened on that boat? If he drugged his kids, how did he die?
Short of suicide, I mean, it really could have been anything. They could have run out of food. He could have ate his kids.
Oh my god. Cannibalism? Is that where we're going?
Cannibalism, possibly.
I was going to ask if I heard that right.
Yeah. Maybe, though.
What?
Like, we never found the boy. The girl was cut up into pieces because we found her skull.
Right, we only found her skull, never her body.
Mm-hmm.
And we can assume that the adult skull the fisherman found was Eve's. And we also found his, femur and tibia.
Right.
But we don't have their full body, so we don't know how they died.
Right. And I mean, the fact that they were found at the bottom of the ocean, there was a life raft that was just randomly floating around in the sea that had his checkbook, makes it seem like he was in that life raft. So maybe a storm hit, kids toppled over, he's in the life raft, and then something happens to him and he dies too.
I hate unsolved mysteries.
Yeah.
Why did I say suggest those? I hate them. Because now I'm like...
You just want to know what happens.
Yeah,
You want the conclusion.
I really do. And even if the skull they found is the little boy's, yes, it is what's the word? It's a conclusion that everyone on the boat died, but it's not a full conclusion because we don't have the full bodies. So therefore we don't know the cause of death. Marie France's body is still missing if she's dead.
Right.
So we have these three possibly, and we know that they're dead. How? Why?
When? Who and where?
And then so one of the things was that it was speculated that he was a part of this secret society and he was gypped out of his money and he was killed because of that. I didn't really follow along with it because that article was in French, so I didn't get it. So I'm throwing that out. I'm thinking that's not anything, and I'm putting that to the side.
Okay.
And focus on more things that's more realistic, like he found her diary and he went ballistic or whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds, but maybe this goes deeper. Maybe it is a conspiracy theory. I don't know.
Maybe she's alive.
But I mean, if they did find the kid's skull in 2018 and they went missing in 1999, I mean,
19 years.
Holy crap! And it's all in the same vicinity. It's nowhere else. It's all in this one triangle.
Which makes no sense that they haven't been able to find anything, and then randomly 19 years later, they're like, "Oh, hey, look, a kid's skull."
Right?
And is it sad that we live in America and we're so jaded that it's just like, really? You had no other missing reports of children from 1999 to 2018? Is that a bad thing?
That's so bad. America's terrible. That's so terrible.
Right?
Oh, wow. But, wow.
I don't think there is anything else really to digest into this story. We have good theories and plausible theories.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea that she faked her own death. Because, maybe they got into their fight. You said that the whole family was going to go on this trip, right? Supposedly.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they got into a fight and was like, nope, I'm not going to do it. Don't feel like it. So he's like, fine, me and the kids are going. You just stay here and be salty and petty and do what you want. They get in the car, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to get back at my husband. I'm going to fake my own death, and then he'll get blamed for the murder. So she goes through, does this whole thing, expecting him to come home, and when she finds out that him and the kids never made it home, and that she let him leave with her kids, and now they're dead, she goes into a full-on depression and runs into hiding.
It can't be a movie.
Right?
That would be a
I
good
agree.
one. I mean, yeah, because she can't come back because she's quote-unquote dead.
Right.
Wow. I like that one. I like the idea of her still being alive.
Yeah, me too.
And all she has to do is just sneak out at night when nobody's paying attention. Good theories, girls.
Yeah, these are great theories. You know, we thought about them.
did.
Everyone did their homework. I'm so happy.
I told you I was ready for this today.
I'm so proud. I never know how to end these videos. So, this was a great season final, I think.
It was. Have you any thoughts looking back? Any
of the season?
Of the season? Of, you know, what you... Thoughts, hopes for the future?
I'm hoping for... Well, I don't want to say I'm hoping for a bigger audience, because if people come, they come. If they don't, they don't. I'm still gonna put out what interests me.
I like the ones that are in a different country. I find them very interesting, very intriguing. It's nice to know that the world is screwed up all over the place, not just in America. It is. It's very refreshing.
Not just America.
Yeah.
Hashtag, I guess. You guys have watched my videos. Do you guys have a favorite or anything? Just to boost my ego.
I mean, it's going to sound so cocky, but I really like the one that we did. Just because it had so much mystery and intrigue, not because I was on it and I got to have my lots of coffee and even more opinions.
15 minutes, as they say.
Yeah, I really liked... I go back and re-listen to us trying to figure that out. And I will go back and I will try and re-figure it out again. Like, oh, maybe this, and I didn't think about this. And like, I've got notes in my head of things like that. I really like that one. And I also, one of your recent ones about the guy that had the Colt, CULT, with all the ladies, and they had to get their tattoos.
Goel Ranson.
Yes, that one was super interesting to me.
Yeah, I called him the Israeli Marcus Wesson.
Yes. It was very, very... So those two are the ones that I like the most.
Okay. Any?
Are
you going to say John?
I'm going to go the same route.
Okay.
Say ours, because that is... I don't know, mainly, like, for me, that's the most I've ever... Because I don't like doing this type of stuff.
Girl,
you know,
me
like,
too.
It's, like, not... It's out of my comfort zone.
Okay,
So that's the most I've ever, yeah, that's...
Okay.
And I was very comfortable, and it didn't freak me out.
Yay.
That's great. Okay. Okay, yay!
Yay.
We all have our
Huzzah.
favorites. Great.
Yes.
I'm trying... Do I have a favorite case?
We gotta figure a way to bring her onto our channel one day.
We do. Do I have a favorite case? I had to talk about this in my head before I got here. I was like, I have a favorite case, but I couldn't tell you what it is now.
She had it in your notes.
I know, right? Was it Marcus Wesson? It might have been Marcus Wesson. There might have been. No, I lie. It was not Marcus Wesson. My favorite was the Mary Russell case.
Yes, you talked about that
I
a
did.
lot.
That was my favorite, only because I think his name was Hal. He was the strongest dude on board, and I loved reading about him.
Yeah.
Because it was a book about it, and it was long and detailed. And it was like he was ambushed by the captain because he was scared out of his pants of this guy. I was like, I want you to live, so help me, please live. And he does. And it's great. So that's my favorite. My favorite is the Mary Russell case.
Yay.
Yeah. Yay. So, I would love to know everyone's favorite cases, if there are any. Comment below.
Yes.
Let me know. I would love to know that. Or any favorite cases I haven't done and you want me to do. I want to know that too. Suggestions are always welcome. I encourage them. Because like I say, I can't always think of a case. I just kind of go to Google. I type in list of lists. I go to Wikipedia and see what I can find. So I encourage all suggestions. But thank you both for being here.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you for having me.
You know,
anytime.
My favorite Britneys. I love you guys so much. Best friends forever. Yay.
Love you too.
The B&B. The B&B.
The scribe is a genius of his caliber. Anatoly obtained a PhD from Moscow State University and went on to lecture in Celtic studies. Celtic? What did I say? It's Celtic. Celtic studies, right? Celtic studies. Celtic. Okay. Other murders of... Already, look at this. Many theories arose from this event, including, but not limited to, enemy capture. Cody and Adams were Japanese spies. I didn't say ships. That's not right. Why would they be Japanese ships? That's dumb. The oldest unsolved mystery in Cumberland County is the disappearance of Terry Lee Westerfield and his brother, Alan John Westerfield. On September 12, 1964, in Fayetteville, Terry and Alan were dropped off at the Broadway Theater on Hay Street by their stepfather, Army Sergeant Colt. Oh, God. Breaking his lust of teenagers, John's third victim would be a 53-year-old Vietnamese immigrant named Tina, who he would keep in his prison for 5 months. The order of events went the same as the previous victims. He chained Tina, naked and cold, in his dungeon. She was reported missing, but the investigation fell by the wayside with little... It's doing so well. Around the time of Dottie's disappearance, Joel phoned his Colorado fiancée, telling her that he couldn't see her because the tenants in his rental house had left a mess, and he was going to have to clean it. He allegedly stated that it looked as if someone had killed an animal in the kitchen. 10 years later, the killer's neighbors would find a rusted meat cleaver with the handle wrapped in duct tape leaning against the fence, hidden by ivy. They turned it over to authorities. Once Joel had... Talking stupid, too. Oh, man. She wrote letters upon letters to those she felt were intruding upon her marriage, and would receive replies back confirming her suspicions. Yet she stayed with Joel. But as the years wore on, so did the marriage. On Thanksgiving... Wow, that was... country? Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving. I know I'm country, but we don't need to put that out there just yet. Wow. Blooper reel. Wow. So on that note, as I always say, be kind, be loud, be aware, stay true, folks.